look at this worksheet and try out some of these problems. So I'm just going to take a look at two examples just to give you an idea of what's happening so you can see further solution processes, and then I want you to try it out yourself, this worksheet. But let's just go through a couple. So you'll see on the worksheet, there's a bunch of numbered equations, things below it. Let's just solve one of these equations and then see what you do with it. So the first one there is 3 times 2x plus 5 equal to 39. There are two ways to solve this, so I will solve it out both ways. And then you can choose to do it whichever way you want to. So way number one is to use the distributive property. So the distributive property, I'm just going to rewrite the equation here. That would tell us that what we can do is we can take this number out in front, multiply it by the two parts inside. And so we would have 3 times 2x plus 3 times 5 is equal to 39. Now let's simplify that. So 3 times 2x, well, that's just 6x. 3 times 5 is just 15. Okay, and then what we can do is we can use things like opposite operations. So if we have plus 15 here, we want to move that to the other side, which will become minus 15. So we're just left with a 6x on the left-hand side. And 39 minus 15, well, what's that? That will be 24. And then the next thing is we have the 6 times x. Remember, 6x is 6 times x. So to move that 6, we have to divide by 6. And so x is going to equal to 24 divided by 6, which is just 4. That is method number one to solve that particular equation. Method number two is let's rewrite this. So 3 times 2x plus 5 equal to 39. What we could do is, instead of using the distributive property, we kind of have this 3 outside of the set of brackets. So since it's outside that set of brackets, it's multiplying by the set of brackets, and we could actually already start to think of opposite operations. And by that, you could actually already move it to the other side, that number out in front, and divide it by 3, since it's right now multiplying, so the opposite would be division. And if you do that, you just have 2x plus 5 is equal to, well, 39 divided by 3 is 13. And here's the important step. Now that we've moved that 3 in front of the brackets out of the way from the left side, there's nothing in front of the brackets anymore. So you can drop the brackets of the left side of your equation to just write 2x plus 5 equal to 13. And now we're just solving this equation. So now we're going from the plus 5. So we're doing the addition, the subtraction, the parts furthest away from x first. Opposite operation, so minus 5. 13 minus 5, well, that is just 8. And then 2 times x, move the 2 over. That's going to turn into a division by 2. And so you're going to have x equal to 4, because 8 divided by 2 is 4. But it gets you the same answer. And we did that in two totally different methods. So sometimes you can definitely get the correct answer in multiple ways. Okay, so now that you've gotten the answer of x equal to 4, what do you do with that answer? So we're just going to go to this example sheet down here. So once you've got your answer, so we know x is equal to 4 here, go down to the bottom, look for your string of letters, and look for the number 4. So what you need to do is just cross that solution out, and you're just going to keep crossing things out as you get solutions, and there should be a couple of boxes left over. Let's try one more. So 18x minus 8x minus 7, but that 8x minus 7 is in brackets, equal to 67. All right, be very careful. You might be wondering, what does that brackets mean? Why is it there? It's not like there's any sort of multiplication happening outside of it where we would do distributive property. Well, there is this minus sign, and that minus sign is going to be very important. So if we have something like that, just in brackets like that, with the minus sign outside of it, what we can do is we can just apply that minus sign to both of the parts inside of the brackets. So we have 8x, well that's going to become subtract 8x, but here's where we have to be careful, because right now inside of the brackets you have a minus 7, well it's going to be minus negative 7. Because we applied the minus sign from outside the brackets, but you already had the minus sign from inside of the brackets. So it's like one of them is going to be that, one of them is going to be the other minus sign. But together, we'll see what happens with that. Double negatives, we know that makes a plus. And so what actually happens is you have 18x minus 8x plus 7. So if you didn't have those brackets, that would make a big difference because you'd have a minus 7 instead of a plus 7. All right, now we've multiple terms with x. Whenever you have multiple terms with x, collect the like terms. So 18 minus 8, that comes together to give you 10x. You still have plus 7 there, is equal to 67. And sometimes you might be wondering, how do I know like what to move over first? Why don't I move the 10 over first versus the 7? Think BEDMAS, but think backwards. So addition and subtraction is usually the last thing we do, but in terms of moving things over, it becomes the first thing to move over. So the 7, the plus 7, that moves over, and it's going to turn into negative 7 or minus 7. So you're going to have 67 minus 7 is just 60. And then 10x, well the 10 is out in front, it's multiplying by 10. So that becomes divided by 10. Or we could write that as x is equal to 60 over 10, which we can solve as 6. All right, and again, go to your little handy dandy sheet. To the bottom of it, we can say, well, first of all, x is equal to 10 here, and find the number 10. If you look around, this one is number 10, cross it out, and essentially what you're doing is you're crossing as many of those things you can out as you solve these questions, and you'll be left with some boxes. So, for example, maybe you were left with this box, and this box, and then you'd write those letters down in the bottom in order. Of course, those 3 I picked are not going to be the correct answers because the letters wouldn't have made sense there. But hopefully you'll be able to find something that reads and makes sense.